Imagine a planet similar to Earth but far heavier, with gravity exponentially stronger than what we experience. As you might know, gravity grows stronger as mass increases, meaning this planet would have an intense gravitational pull. For perspective, the gas giant Jupiter's gravity is about 2.4 times stronger than Earth's, pulling objects toward it with far more force. But Jupiter doesn't have a solid surface to stand on. Being a gas giant, it's essentially a massive ball of swirling gases and fierce winds. However, let's envision a solid, Earth-like planet with an immensely stronger gravitational force. Standing on such a planet would be an experience like no other, transforming nearly every aspect of life in dramatic ways. To begin with, this massive planet would be significantly larger than Earth. When things get larger, they lose heat much more slowly, like a giant cauldron simmering on low heat. So, the surface of this planet would be hot, perhaps sweltering, with heat radiating up from the core. It's easy to imagine this planet resembling a vast, desolate desert or an endless, arid savanna. The landscape wouldn't look like Earth's, though. The stronger gravity would pull mountains down, making them shorter and less prominent. Oceans would be shallower, and overall, the planet would be remarkably flat. The intense gravitational forces would affect geological processes, causing the planet's molten insides to churn constantly, further flattening the landscape over time. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and other tectonic activities would be frequent, driven by the planet's internal heat. The atmosphere would be notably different as well. Gravity's pull would make it much thicker than what we're accustomed to on Earth. Imagine trying to breathe in air that feels as dense as soup. Each breath would require more effort, and inhaling would feel heavy and laborious. The dense air would create powerful winds and immense waves. Storms would be catastrophic, with the strong gravity fueling their intensity. Flying would be nearly impossible. Planes, birds, or even kites would struggle against the heavy atmosphere. The simple act of launching a spaceship from this planet would be incredibly challenging, far more difficult than on Earth. Even if landing a spacecraft here is possible, taking off again would require a massive amount of energy to escape the planet's grip. But there are some upsides to life on a high-gravity planet. The thick atmosphere would likely create breathtaking skies. Sunsets and sunrises would paint the horizon with vivid, intense colors, making for stunning natural displays. The play of light through the dense gases would scatter the colors in ways we don't see on Earth, producing hues that could range from deep reds to intense purples, or even unfamiliar colors altogether. Volcanic eruptions, while rare due to the high gravity suppressing them, would be earth-shattering when they do occur. The pressure required to cause an eruption would be immense, meaning these volcanic outbursts would release unimaginable amounts of energy when they happen, reshaping the planet's surface. Let's talk about what it would feel like to live on such a planet. The most immediate and obvious effect of stronger gravity would be a crushing sensation. You would feel like an invisible hand is constantly pressing you down, making it incredibly difficult to move. Every step would be exhausting, and even simple activities like walking, standing, or lifting would require far more effort. Jumping. Forget about it. You'd barely be able to leave the ground. Imagine trying to run. It would feel like wading through quicksand, with gravity pulling you back every step of the way. Sports, as we know them, would be completely impractical. Any game that involves jumping, running, or moving quickly would need to be radically rethought. Even buildings would need to be designed differently. Tall, towering structures would collapse under their own weight, crushed by gravity's pull. The architecture would consist of short, sturdy buildings with thick foundations to keep them anchored to the ground. Skyscrapers wouldn't exist in a traditional sense. Instead, you'd see squat, robust structures that are built to withstand the intense forces pushing down on them. And what about the creatures that would inhabit this high-gravity world? Life here would be built to survive under extreme conditions. Any animals or intelligent life forms would need to be sturdy and low to the ground, perhaps with multiple legs to distribute their weight more evenly. You'd expect creatures with powerful muscles, dense bones, and possibly thick skin to cope with the immense pressure. Their lungs and hearts would be oversized to ensure they could pump blood and oxygen effectively under such crushing conditions. Their veins might even have muscular walls, like our arteries, to help push blood against the force of gravity. Imagine creatures that look like bodybuilders with heavy limbs and solid frames, optimized for survival in a world where moving at all requires significant effort. Now, let's flip the scenario and imagine the complete opposite, a planet with super low gravity. If the high-gravity planet made you feel like you were being crushed, a low-gravity planet would have the opposite effect, making you feel light, agile, and buoyant. It would be like walking on the moon, where you could leap several meters with little effort. Gravity would barely pull you down, and every movement would be effortless. The climate on this low-gravity world would likely be much milder than Earth's. Without strong gravity to hold heat in, the planet would experience more stable and moderate temperatures. Imagine a world where it feels like a pleasant spring day all year long. Extreme seasons, like the scorching heat of summer or the biting cold of winter, would be much less pronounced, making outdoor activities a year-round possibility. The landscape would also be extraordinary. Mountains on a low-gravity planet could rise to incredible heights, their peaks reaching far above the clouds. Valleys would be deep and sprawling, with vast open spaces stretching as far as the eye can see. Breathing would be easier in the thinner atmosphere, and the gentler winds would make life more comfortable. Storms would still happen, but they'd be far less destructive, lacking the energy and force that storms on Earth or a high-gravity planet would have. Life on a low-gravity planet would evolve to take advantage of the light environment. Trees and plants would grow taller and thinner, stretching towards the sky, free from the weight that pulls them down on Earth. Animals might be tall, graceful, and slender, with long limbs allowing them to move effortlessly. Wings could be a common feature, with some creatures gliding or flying easily through the light atmosphere. Other species might have evolved gas-filled sacs to help them float, taking advantage of the low gravity to drift effortlessly through their environment. Humans living here would look quite different from the way we do on Earth. We would be taller, thinner, and more delicate, with less need for muscle strength. Our bones would be lighter, and our movements more fluid, as the demands of everyday life would be much less physically taxing. In a world with such low gravity, sports would be an absolute dream. Imagine playing basketball or soccer in an environment where you could leap into the air with little effort and stay suspended for much longer. Acrobatics and gymnastics would become part of everyday life, with people performing flips, jumps, and spins as easily as walking. Hiking, rock climbing, and even yoga would take on new dimensions, as the light gravity would make movements more graceful and effortless. Traditional games would evolve into something completely new, with athletes able to perform feats that would be impossible in Earth's gravity. The architecture on this low-gravity planet would also be radically different. Engineers and architects would have the freedom to build tall, elegant structures that stretch into the sky. Skyscrapers with massive windows, open spaces, and delicate designs would dominate the skyline, as the lower gravity would allow for much taller and thinner structures. Transportation would be easier, too. Flying would require much less energy, and planes could glide through the atmosphere with minimal effort. Launching spacecraft into orbit would be far less demanding, making space exploration much more accessible and affordable. Travel across the planet would also be quicker, as the distances would be shorter due to its smaller size. While the low-gravity planet might have a few downsides, like weaker muscles or more fragile bones, it offers a world of possibilities that Earth doesn't. Everyday tasks would feel effortless, and the potential for exploration, play, and creativity would be limitless. In the grand scheme of things, both high and low-gravity planets offer unique challenges and opportunities for life. While the high-gravity world might be a tough, rugged place where survival is a constant challenge, the low-gravity planet would feel more like a paradise, with its light atmosphere and graceful environment. But regardless of which world you find most appealing, one thing remains true: the beauty and diversity of Earth is irreplaceable, and until we find another planet to explore, we must take care of the one we call home. This has been Discovery Waves. If this deep dive into high and low gravity worlds has piqued your curiosity, give this video a like, share it with your friends, and explore more of our videos for incredible, mind-expanding content. Stay curious, and stay tuned for more adventures.